In this video, we want to talk about how to solve problem involve power of I. So for example, if I get I to the third, this is a simple one because according to our definition, we know I is defined as square root -1. So that tells us I squared equal to square root -1 squared, so which is -1. So now I to the third, so here I'm going to write here I to the third, you can consider this as I squared times I. Because I squared equals -1, so here I have -1 times I, so that gives us -I. So now, how about I to the fourth? I to the fourth equal to I to the third times I. Because I to the third is -I, so here I put a -I there, times I. So it turns out I have a -I squared. Because I squared equals -1, so it turns out that gives us -1, so that is 1. Okay, so here you can see that's back to 1. So what about I to the fifth? If I get I to the fifth, let's get I to the fourth times I, which is 1 times I equals I. So you can see that's I to the fifth and I actually same. So you continue I to the sixth, I got I to the fifth times I equal to, because I to the fifth is I, so here I times I, so that equal to -1, so because I squared equals -1. I to the seventh, I to the sixth times, I to the sixth times I, so that give us -1 times I, which is -I. I to the eighth equals I to the 7 times I. So which give us I to the 7th equals -I times I. And you can see that's same as what we did here. So that's also equal to 1. So now you can see basically the power. When you look at the I raised to a certain power, okay, so you can tell and I to the fifth as same as I to the sixth, same as I squared, I to the seventh, same as I to the third, I to the eighth, same as I to the fourth. Basically means the I raised the power, okay, and get a period. That period is 4. Every 4, and the power gonna repeat, okay, gonna repeat there. So in that case, we know in order to solve a problem like this here, say for example, if I have I raised a higher power, so here say I got 27. Okay, and I to the 27, if we do this, that's gonna take a long time to get I to the 27th power. So what we try to do here is this, okay? I'm gonna write 27 and use 4 to divide by 27. So 4 times, okay, so here 27 divided by 4. So 6, let's give you 24. Let's give us 3 there. What does that mean? That means I have 27 can be written as 4 times 6 plus 3. Okay, 27 can be written as 4 times 6 plus 3. So now, when I write I raised 27, I can write this as I raised 4 times 6 plus 3. Use the property of exponent. So I can rewrite this as I raised 4 times 6 times I raised third. So now, because the property says if you got a raised m plus n, that's the same as a raised m times a raised n. So for this case, this is m, this is n. Okay, so now what do we do here? This, according to the property of exponents, we can also write this as I raised to the fourth, then raised to the sixth, and times I to the third. So because I to the fourth, we already know that equal to 1. So that's 1 raised to 6 times I to the third. So now I to the third, according to what we did here, we know that equals negative I. So this is 1, that's negative I, so that's negative I there. So basically, when you have a problem like this, and I to the 27th, same as I raised to the third. So that means all I need to look here, I raised to the remainder. When you get this number divided by 4, you only need to look, I raised the remainder's power. Okay, so that's how we solve problem like this. Here, give you another example. And because if you have a large number, I raised, so here 1023. Okay, so that is a pretty big number. So I go ahead to use same thing here, do it. So 1023 divided by 4. 2 times 4 equals 8. 22. 5 is 20. 23. So 4 times 5 and 20. And let's give you 3 there. So that tells us 1023 equal to 4 times 255 times 3, or add 3. So now I raised 1023, so that equal to I raised 4 times 255 plus 3, which equals I raised 425 times I raised the third. So that equal to 1, that equal to 1, that's I to the third. I to the third equals negative I. Okay, so that means, and actually if you don't want to write this, you can directly, after you did this, you can directly say I raised to 1023 equals I raised to the third. Okay, so then you can get this is negative I there. So that is how we use and the period of the I and to evaluate the power of I there. Okay, so that's the end of this video.